Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Critical Podcast. I'm your host, Jimmy Good, and joining me this week from Entertainment Landfill, Jason, a.k.a. VJ Strom. Jason, how are you doing, buddy?
Hey, Jimmy. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well, sir.
Excellent. Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. It's always fun to chat with you, and for people who might not know, Jason and I have known each other for a long time, play games together, we chat. And we're dreamers, or at least I like to think we are. And recently, there have been a few little news stories. I wouldn't call them huge. But a few acquisitions have gone down that some people might have known about in the video game world. Where, some companies may or may not have purchased other companies. And it gets the old creative juices a-flowing. Wouldn't you say, Jason?
Yeah. It makes the imagination run wild.
Right? The possibilities are endless. And I know that a lot of people kind of focus more so on the business aspect of this stuff, and there's a lot of fear of consolidation and all this stuff. But I am always like that guy. It was the same way when Disney bought like Marvel and Star Wars. Like my brain was just like, oh my gosh, that kind of hope for what could be made in the future. And that's what today's show is going to be all about. Optimism, hope, some fun kind of speculation, all of this just kind of our ideas, nothing concrete yet, even though I'm sure they'll hear this and then immediately go to the drawing board, right? I think that's just going to happen.
Like, ooh, these guys have some ideas.
Yeah, we got to bring these guys on board immediately, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, but we're going to talk a little bit. I think mostly the biggest one is obviously Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, but that doesn't mean we can't talk about some of the other stuff too. But yeah, Jason, you sent me this thing here kind of showing off what Microsoft now has for first-party studios, and there are now a lot, because a few years ago, one of the biggest complaints about Microsoft and Xbox specifically was like, oh, you guys don't have any, like, a ton of really powerful first-party stuff. You have a few things, you're kind of Halo, Forza, Gears, but beyond that, you're not like Sony, who's got, Spider-Man and God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn. And those are just like the three that I can think of right now. And there's so many others.
Right.
But we're going to kind of stick with that, I think, to start off with here. We might branch off here and there. Jason, now that this acquisition has gone down, if you could come up with a dream game and, whatever it might be, and, put it with a company that was working under the Microsoft banner these days, what would it be?
Yes. First of all, I want to say thank you, Phil Spencer, for making this exciting the last couple of weeks.
Right.
Because I decided this new gen to go Xbox. I don't have a PS5 yet, but I do have a Series X and S. Recently I acquired an S for the other room, and it's been fun because Game Pass adds new cool games all the time. And it's been fun trying new things. So as I saw Xbox acquire Activision, well, they're going to. It's going to take a while, just like it did when they acquired Bethesda. It took like a year before it was official. I started looking at all of Activision's Blizzard's IP. They put out a lot of licensed games back in the day. Like they put out Spider-Man games. They put out Transformer games. Very cool. I don't know if Xbox will license games in the future, or they're just like create our property, create stuff we own. You know what I mean? I don't know if they want to do Marvel games.
Yeah.
But one of Activision Studios, High Moon Studios, did a Deadpool game back in the day. Do you remember that?
Yeah, the one with Nolan North, right?
Yes, but what if they did a AAA big budget Deadpool game with Ryan Reynolds doing the voice?
Oh, okay.
Might be cool. I'm not even necessarily a Deadpool fan, but hey, AAA Deadpool game could be pretty cool, right?
Yeah, sure. Totally. Me, I'm a Deathstroke guy.
Yes. What about this, though? Treyarch.
Yes.
They did Spider-Man, the Spider-Man game when the Sam Raimi movies were out. They did Spider-Man 2.
So good.
Narrated by Bruce Campbell.
Oh, so great.
Okay, they license Ghost Rider.
Don't.
AAA Ghost Rider game.
Don't you do that to me. I would adore that so much. Okay, like, side note here, and I don't know if it's like a minor spoiler or not. I won't get specifics about it, but there's a mini boss in the recent Insomniac Spider-Man game where someone's using like fire and chains, and all I could think the whole time was that, like, is this a tease to like a Ghost Rider game? Because I so want that. Man, a Ghost Rider game would be so cool. Like, and I love Treyarch for, like, I think they've done the best Call of Duty stuff. That was always, like, Black Ops was my favorite. And they were helping, I think they did help out on Overwatch with some of the shooting mechanics. But yeah, man, I'd be all on board for Ghost Rider, even though I know the Deadpool game would sell infinitely better, you know?
The sad thing is, all of those studios who've done the cool games in the past, they've all been relegated to working on Call of Duty.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling like Phil's like, so what do you guys want to do? You don't have to do Call of Duty anymore. Can you imagine them being like, we can do whatever we want?
Yeah, totally. Well, I remember hearing a story recently. Was it the Crash Bandicoot team or somebody else that they got the chance to make something and then it did all right, but then they kind of went back to like helping out with Call of Duty. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I was like, and it might have been not the Crash team or somebody else, but I just remember thinking, oh gosh, how, like, kind of, if you're not into Call of Duty, I'm not saying Call of Duty's bad, but it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's probably not as creatively stimulating for some of these people who want to make these kind of over-the-top fantastical worlds.
Right. I wanted Toys for Bob. That studio, they did the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy kind of was it like a remake, or is it more of they remastered it? But then they put out Crash 4. And also that was the studio that did Skylanders, and they did a Skylanders Spyro thing, and then put out a Spyro remaster, and they were relegated to, no, you guys are working on Call of Duty now.
Yeah.
So it'd be so cool if they could do a platforming type of go back to what they're good at.
Yeah, totally.
And everyone had the same idea of what that was, and you know what that was, don't you?
What was that?
Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah. If you get, and obviously, like, you've got Rare, and like, yeah, and I know Rare has shifted a lot, and maybe it's not the same people, you know, because it's kind of shifts over time. That's something I try to remember too, is that some of these studios and companies that you really loved when you were younger, or games you loved, the people who made those games aren't necessarily there, even if the name is still the same.
Right.
But yeah, totally. If they could find a way to do that, I think Yooka-Laylee did pretty well. You know, so it's not that there isn't a want for that type of game anymore. But yeah, it would be cool to see, like, Banjo come back.
And remember, what Phil wants is different kinds of titles to fill Game Pass.
Yeah, totally.
So you're going to want to throw some platformers in there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
And you know what? I've never actually played Banjo-Kazooie, but I know people like Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, oh, very much so. Yeah, that's very true. And they have a pretty good working relationship with Nintendo, even though they own Banjo. So it's not like something that if they made a Banjo game, you know, people would be reminded of those N64 classics, but it wouldn't be a bad thing. It wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like something I think that would pop up on Microsoft's end of being like, we don't want to promote this thing because, like, it's going to promote sales of another thing. I think
I had a crazy idea, if I could run that by you.
Let's run it, dude. I want to hear it. Yes.
Another Activision studio, Beanox. They did Crash Team Racing.
Oh, yeah.
What about this? A racing game with Spyro, Crash, Banjo-Kazooie. You could even have throw in extra things every couple of months, like, we've just added Master Chief. And he's in like a little warthog racing.
Yeah, that'd be cute.
You have the Doom Slayer guy.
Mm-hmm.
You just think of different now Xbox properties that you could go through and add them to as different racers. That might be fun.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm not trying to riff off your idea. This was kind of one of the ones I was thinking of beforehand, but it's that, right? But it's just Super Smash Brothers. I really feel like like a fighting game. I feel like they're so close to doing that with the IP that they have now, and especially it's so hard. like for my brain to think of like Crash and Spyro being Microsoft versus Sony, but to have them be in a fighting game for Microsoft with Master Chief, with Doom Guy, all those characters, that would be.
It would need
so
to
cool.
be well made because
Oh,
people are very picky. Like that recent Nickelodeon one, people were very disappointed about the mechanics. It's got to have good mechanics,
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, like, for a lot of us, I think there's kind of a fun novelty in watching these characters beat each other up, but the fighting game community is so passionate, and they're the ones who are going to make your game live or die. So you're right, you need to, like, look at it and say, like, all right, what did Melee do, Super Smash Bros. Melee that people love so much, and kind of try to make sure to have those really deep and on-point mechanics, without tripping. Get rid of tripping, right?
But wasn't it? It was Activision that did Marvel Ultimate Alliance, wasn't it?
Ooh, that's a good question. I
think the most recent one was Nintendo only for some reason.
Yes, that was 3.
How cool would that be? A new Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
And, like, the weird thing is, too, like, we both played Avengers, and that kind of, to me, originally felt like it was trying to be an evolution of Ultimate Alliance, right? Like, just a different perspective. But there's something about the Ultimate Alliance formula, the beat-em-up genre, that just plays so well from that isometric viewpoint. And I would love to see another one of those for sure. Yeah.
One thing I wonder about sometimes is when, say it goes through, now Microsoft owns Activision Blizzard, do those old games go to Game Pass?
Oh, good question. I don't know. That's a good way to bolster it if they can. And I don't know licensing wise if they can, or if there's any, they probably didn't have any prohibitive stuff in there for Game Pass. Now they will, in the future for some of this stuff. But like the streaming service didn't exist
like
back
any
then.
new contracts they sign will include Game Pass, but something from like 4 or 5 years ago, there may be, something they have to renegotiate.
Yeah. Oh, I would love to see that. And was it Ravensoft that did? I know they did X-Men Legends. Was that the same group that did Ultimate Alliance?
Or just let's Raven? See. I know Beanox did the early one. I think it was Ultimate Alliance 1 or 2.
Okay.
I don't know if they did 3.
Okay.
There's so many different studios within Activision Blizzard. It's kind of confusing sometimes.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I think some sort of mashup, like you were talking about with the kart racer or a Super Smash Brothers style thing. If
they could definitely do that.
Yeah, I think there's maybe like now that they have more, recognizable characters, they would consider it. But I think they look, at PlayStation All-Stars and see that wasn't the success that PlayStation wanted it to necessarily be. And maybe are hesitant, but at the same time, I wouldn't put it past Phil or any of these people, like, who are making these decisions to be like, hey, we should take a crack at this and, like, really go hard and make it.
Yeah, you think of the Bethesda characters. You could have Fallout Boy, whatever that kid, the guy's name is.
Yeah.
And is his name Fallout Boy, or is that a band? What is that?
Fallout Boy is a band. I know who you're talking about. But yeah, like the main
Vault Boy.
Vault Boy. Thank you.
I was like, it's not Fallout Boy, Jason. Come on.
You could get Corvo from Dishonored, right?
Yes, definitely.
That would be really cool. Yeah,
the guy from Evil Within.
Oh man, he would be great. He's like sneaking around trying to drop matches on people. Oh my goodness,
he's driving. Oh, that's in the fighting one, but he's even in the kart racer.
He's in the kart racer.
In a mine cart or something.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you could do. I think you could do both, right? Like, I feel like it's open season, and with all these characters, and there's so many too. Like, I know Doom Guy and Master Chief for so long have been like, oh, people want him in Smash, or you want him in like a big head racer or something like that, and they probably showed up in some sort of racing game that I don't know of, but I could totally see that happening. Sure.
And Microsoft has lots of money. We know that.
Yeah.
Pay for Tony Hawk. They did Pro Skater. He's there on a skateboard. He's racing too.
Yeah. Tony's racing people like they're in like motorized vehicles, and he's on a skateboard and he's keeping up. Like somehow there's like little rockets on his skateboard, and he's just ollieing past them.
See, little rocket powered skateboard would be so cool. There's little power ups they run over.
It's perfect. And
here's what I want. They talk about, what do they call it, the Metaverse or whatever.
Yes.
Just do what Nintendo does. They have their games. They have Mario. they have Luigi, they have Kirby, but have games where they're all together, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Party type of games or whatever. Have something like that with Microsoft that's fun for kids at all ages, but you also have your serious games too that you and I want to play, right?
Yeah.
But it's fun to like, hey, let's go play this. This will be fun.
Yeah. It's so interesting you bring that up too, because I was thinking like, oh, do you go a step further and do your own Mario Party? But I think Mario Party works not only because the mini games are fun and you can, kind of enjoy or hate them at your leisure, but all those characters are pretty tonally consistent. I don't think a game like that, a board game, would play as well if it was like Doom Guy versus Banjo playing this mini game. It'd be like, you can watch them fight each other, you can watch them drive against each other, but you can't like watch them both try to jump rope forever together. I don't think.
Don't forget about the Gears characters.
Oh my gosh, Marcus Phoenix, he's day and date. I would love to see him in a fighter, even though he's not good. Like the jumping, like I already think of that. I'm like, okay, do they like, how do you make a character like Marcus jump or try to double jump if you put that in, But I'd be okay with it. Like they got Link to do it, so.
Marcus Phoenix fighting the kid from Psychonauts.
Oh my god, chainsawing him with the Lancer. My gosh, dude, that'd be sick. I would. Oh my gosh, that's my dream. There we go. I would love to. I would just like to see that. And his ultimate's the Hammer of Dawn. He's calling in super lasers, just blowing everybody up. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yes, that would Hammer of Dawn. That would be a perfect like special to do.
Yep, it's great. That's okay. We both had kind of a few there. Do you have another one? Because if not, I've got one that leads perfectly well into the next segment.
I have a game that I saw that Microsoft will now own that was a favorite of mine when I was a kid. And it's called The Lost Vikings. Do you know of this game?
Yeah, The Lost Vikings. I only know about it because of Heroes of the Storm, which was Blizzard's MOBA.
Right. So it's like a puzzle game with 3 Vikings. One has a shield where he deflects things. The other one jumps. And another one has a sword. And you have to each use 3 of them to get past each screen by moving them in different spots. And it's like puzzles, right?
Yeah.
I would love to see a Lost Vikings remake.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
Next gen remake. We're talking with story, combat, and puzzles.
No way. All those things? Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
High budget.
High budget, baby. I like it. Dude, that would be cool. That would be a callback, too. And that would also be kind of them not only embracing, the heritage of something like this, but, bringing in some really old fans who would be like, I'm not sure about this whole thing. And they're like, we're remaking Lost Vikings. They'd be like, okay. Like,
and get Obsidian to do it or somebody like that.
There we go. That'd be pretty cool. Dude, good pick, man. And would this be like a puzzle solving? Like, do you imagine it looking or the same kind of viewpoint, or would this turn third person? What would you do?
It would be full 3D engine kind of thing.
Okay.
So it would be like something. It would almost seem like an homage to the original game, but It's like taken to the next level.
Okay. I dig it. That's cool, man. What a cool pick. What a deep cut. I only knew, I thought they were Warcraft characters, and then I looked into it, was like, no, they're not. They're their own thing. It's like, oh, because they kind of look like Warcraft characters, and I mean that in the best possible way.
And the characters have names, but I remember we called them Shield Boy, Jump Boy, and Sword Boy.
That's perfect. That's all you need. And Vault Boy.
Yeah, and Vault Boy.
See, hey, Lost Vikings could be in the fighter or the racer. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
It's like Double Dash all over again, but there's 3 guys in there. Oh man, cool, man. That's a great pick. Is there anything else you want to expound upon with that specific one before I jump into mine?
I'm ready to hear yours.
I'm kind of cribbing a little bit here from a friend of the show, Fragadin. I hope it's okay, Frag. But I thought the same thing. Give StarCraft like the intellectual property to the Coalition who makes Gears of War. Because I would love to see a Gears of War style video game set in the StarCraft universe where you're a Marine and you have to fight against a bunch of Zerg and Protoss. Like, how cool and gritty would that be, seeing the StarCraft fights from the ground? It'd probably be a little more akin to like Space Marine, if anybody knows what I'm talking about. But I feel like the Coalition could not only do that, but then also look at like Gears Tactics and then make like a turn-based StarCraft game like that. If that doesn't exist already. Cool. Like, how amazing would that be? That'd be so cool, right? Like,
I've always been curious about StarCraft. StarCraft is a like a strategy game, right?
Yeah, it's an RTS, real-time strategy, just like Warcraft used to be back in the day. It's just intimidating because it's a hard thing to get into and play even like casually, because there's so much to consider, and the people you're playing against are going to just probably be better than you on an objective level at how they make and control their armies. But the stories that you get throughout StarCraft 2 are so cool. Like, the campaigns are really interesting, and I would just love to see that from like the ground, or I'll play as Kerrigan. I don't care. Like, it sounds great.
There's all sorts of StarCraft lore too, isn't there? Oh,
so much, man. There's so much lore. There's so much.
So they could make a real like story-based character type of game.
Yeah, totally. And if they don't want to do that, they could kind of pick up with Blizzard's old idea of like StarCraft Ghost, which was going to be like a third-person stealth game where you played as Nova, who was this Terran who would go around and like sneak around and use a sniper rifle. And people have talked about bringing that game back. I'm just thinking, like, if you make the StarCraft game for Gears of War, then just make the Ghost like a little side campaign thing on top of it, or make it part of it.
Awesome.
Like one of you's the sniper, or like, I don't know, like there's so much they could do with it. And I just think StarCraft like is such a cool franchise. And while it is like the king of the RTS, more or less, I still think that there's so much potential to go in a different direction with it. Like Gears of War, when Gears went and they did tactics. Like, they didn't have to make Gears Tactics. Or like when Halo made an RTS. Like, some people really like Halo Wars. Just like, they could.
And I think StarCraft fans are so wanting for something new. Like, if they got that, like, surprised with that, they would be so excited.
Yeah, and it's a well-known franchise, and I understand where, they might feel kind of backed into a corner where if they don't make StarCraft 3 right away, that people will be really frustrated, and they'll say like, oh, I like this franchise because of this style of gameplay. I totally understand that. I just think that if they are still going to do something with StarCraft, and hopefully they do, they don't only just make, StarCraft 3, if they do that, but also branch off into different ways. Because I don't see a lot of people making RTSs anymore, do you?
Not a lot. No.
Yeah, it's rare. I think it's just harder to do, or they'll do like a remake or a remaster of something. It's just so difficult to make it. It's not as compelling as it once was, I don't think, for a lot of people, even though I still think they're really cool. I'm really, really bad at them. Like, I am just genuinely bad at them.
There's one that's coming out on PC now, isn't there? I shouldn't have even brought it up.
That's okay. I was going to say, as Age of Empires that came out recently.
Yeah, that's it. Age of Empires.
Age of Empires 4, I think it was. Yeah, and I'm sure there are people out there who might be listening to this and they're like, RTS isn't dead. I'm not saying it's dead. I'm not saying they can't bring it back. I'm just thinking, if you want to get people, back on board, and also just really in love with StarCraft in a new way, I think there's
and I like the idea of taking StarCraft that was an RTS and turning it into a different kind of game.
Yeah, and it doesn't.
Third person over the shoulder with storyline.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Yeah, and like I said, it doesn't have to necessarily be that. I just think of, like, I look at the Coalition, and I think of how much they've done with Gears right now. And after Gears 6, which is probably inevitable, and, like, they named the company this now, like the Coalition based on Gears, I would be totally fine if, like, they took breaks in between, and it was like they did Gears 6, and they waited a few years, and they did a StarCraft thing, and then they waited a few years, and then Gears 7. Like, something like that where they don't have to constantly just make Gears of War games, because I think it frees other people up, like, creatively, and it allows them to come back to these things with more gusto versus just being like, oh, I just, I'm making the same thing again and again. Not that the Coalition has been pumping stuff out like some other studios, like Call of Duty style. And even there was like 3 different studios, was like Treyarch, Infinity Ward, and Sledgehammer were all doing those. But I don't know. I just try to think of how cool it could be, and also how cool it might be as an opportunity for some people who work there, because there's got to be a couple StarCraft fans, man. Like, how cool would that? They're like, hey, we're gonna work on a StarCraft game. It's like, yeah, that'd be amazing. So
I do know, from several podcasts I've listened to, the Coalition are working on something non-Gears related.
Ooh, really? Do we have any teases as to what that could be?
No, I have no idea, but I do know they're now working with, Unreal Engine 5.
Okay.
And it's gonna be like what do they call that when it's showing you what it can do? It's
a tech demo.
Yeah, not a tech demo. Practically, it's like this is gonna wow everybody. Basically,
oh, gotcha. It's system seller.
Highlight reel. I can't think of the term.
Yeah, like a system seller, like Ratchet, like the recent Ratchet that like shows
exactly.
It.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. It's going to be one of those things where people are going to go, holy crap, that looks good.
Cool. Dude, it's StarCraft. Phil just said months ago, he's like, I'm closing a deal. I just need you guys to start working on this thing. No, those proton shields are going to look good.
I am hopeful for the future for Xbox with all of these studios that they will. And we know Phil loves video games. He plays them. He wants Xbox to have these titles out there.
Oh,
and
totally.
I can't wait to see a flood of new titles, creative games of different kinds just coming out with regularity,
Yeah. Oh, totally.
It's going to be exciting.
Well, that, and like we were just talking about StarCraft there and kind of letting that open up a little bit more. I'd love to see the same for Warcraft, because that was a third, or an RTS, the third one and the second one, and all that, and the first one. And then it turned to the biggest MMO on the planet, and then they haven't really done much besides Hearthstone with it. But like, I look at that as another just like, oh man, a perfect place to make something unique and special. Throw that on Game Pass. I don't know what it would be. I'm always thinking like third-person action, but
yeah,
there's like stories that could be told with Warcraft, because again, you think the StarCraft lore is deep, like Warcraft lore is crazy. Like there's so much. Oh man, wouldn't that be cool to see? Like all the Blizzard stuff. The Blizzard stuff makes me the most excited. Like I think of like what they could do with Diablo again. Like if Coalition made a Diablo game, or somebody else made a Diablo game, and like they could still keep making like Diablo 4 and the isometric stuff for sure, but there's so many other possibilities. I
do wonder how that will work. Like will Activision still be Activision and Blizzard be Blizzard and them have those titles? Or will they be like, hey, you would Arcane, do you guys want to work on a Blizzard property or something like that?
Yeah, that's a good point. I wonder if eventually, like, the names obviously have a certain value to them, and that way you can kind of keep promoting and talking about them as being, franchises underneath the former umbrella. However, I think over time, there's probably a strategy or plan in place where it's all just Xbox. Like, they'll just say, you won't even remember the names of these things. Like, obviously, there's the heritage there, and they're not going to come, like, wipe them away, but they want people to just say, oh, yeah, like, Spyro's an Xbox thing. Like, they will be like, oh, it was on PlayStation? Or something to that effect, right?
Right.
Because that's what they bought. They bought the names, and the talent, hopefully.
And I noticed Phil's, he's CEO of Microsoft Gaming, so they might just call it Microsoft Gaming.
Yeah, that's true.
For all I know.
Well, and you look at Sony, and I think they've kept all the names, even though they've acquired people too. But it's not. I guess they haven't taken like Insomniac, and they're like, you're just going to be like under the Sony, gaming sphere or umbrella now. Like, they still have their kind of autonomy in the name itself. So maybe they will just keep the names, but
it's like people who are in the know who love video games and stuff. We all know who Insomniac is.
Yeah.
And we all know who, Guerrilla Games, they do Horizon.
Yep.
We know the little things. I think it'll stay like that. We'll know it's all Microsoft, but it'll be like, ooh, did you see that Treyarch did this or something,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because I think just as humans, we like to kind of look for these kind of connective tissue strands or bonds. And you say like, oh, if Treyarch is going to make this thing, what have they made in the past? And then you can kind of gauge how excited you can be about a thing, because you're like, but sometimes, like, speaking of Guerrilla Games, they came from like Killzone and made Horizon, and I'm sure at first people were like, you guys are making a third-person open-world single-player game? Come on now. And then it's like, my gosh.
I remember that first Horizon Zero Dawn trailer, and people were not like, ooh, that was good. People were like, what is this? And people were very hesitant at first.
I was all in when I saw robot dinosaurs. It's like, yep, sounds good. Like, I'm in.
They showed us more of the combat and stuff, and it started looking really good. But I remember that first reveal of Aloy and stuff, and people are just like, what is this again?
Yeah. I think, you're talking kind of like with Xbox purchasing or acquiring Activision. I think we're going to focus more and more in on the specific studios now versus it just being like Activision. Do you know what I mean? So, like you were just saying, so eventually we'll just be like, oh yeah, with this stuff, Blizzard, one of Xbox, gaming studios, is making a new thing, and we're really excited about that. Versus being like, oh yeah, Xbox, who owns Activision, and Activision had Blizzard,
Right. Kind of I think you're right. We'll still identify Blizzard as Blizzard.
Yeah, I think that name specifically out of all of these is the most tantalizing for me personally, and has so much weight still, even though there've been a lot of issues recently with that.
Yeah. Hopefully they can return to their former glory.
Yeah, how great would that be? And I know a bunch of those former devs or luminaries, as I've heard the people talk to them, have gone and done Dreamhaven, which is like a different studio altogether. So I'm curious to see what they make, because I'm like, oh yeah, like you think about all these talented people who leave and go kind of do their own studio. You're like, what are they gonna make? Like, what could they be working on over there?
Yeah,
because they made so many franchises that we love.
And I know that Call of Duty is a big deal. I just hope that those studios who've been made to work on those and nothing else get to flex their creative muscles doing something they're inspired by. Because I know Call of Duty is a AAA juggernaut that always looks pretty fantastic, at least the solo campaigns and stuff.
Yeah.
They go all out. And I hope they still do that, but I hope they also take a break from it too. They don't have to have it like clockwork every single year. And I know why they do. It's because it makes so much money.
Yeah, they can't not make them, right? Yeah, and I know that like
they've cash cow.
Yeah, well, they've talked about like numbers going down on the most recent one, and I couldn't imagine how difficult it would be sometimes to be like, all right, are we doing like a future one, or are we doing one of the world wars we've done in the past, and how do we make that new and exciting? Because you can only do it so much within a short time span before people are kind of like, So
remember, Ubisoft even did that with Assassin's Creed. They're like, oh, okay, we're going to take a break.
Oh yeah, well they did that like year off in between, and they're like, our sales numbers were like double like our last game, so basically we did better than breaking even in the long run here, and so we're just going to keep doing that. And as an Assassin's Creed fan, I was very happy, because I was like, okay, that's fine, because I don't these games are getting real long, and I was like, I don't know if I could do this.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla wasn't an Odyssey where you could take a whole year to play them.
They're very big. They've changed a lot. I kind of missed old Assassin's Creed, to be honest with you, but these new ones are pretty good. Anyway, what I was going to say, though, is I completely agree with you, Jason. I really do hope that there are some people who have been working on these continuous titles and kind of feeling like, oh, I got, I'm working on the next thing. And it might have been Call of Duty. I know it's the one we keep circling back to. And maybe there are people who just absolutely love doing that, and they love working on Call of Duty all the time. But it would be so cool if, there are some of them who are excited to work on something different, or maybe it's a new shooter and Phil says like, hey, why don't you guys not make Call of Duty? You can make your crazy new shooter that's sci-fi, but also transports you to the past, and, or whatever it would be. Like, do whatever you want versus
would it be a game as a service?
I feel like they would, from now on, you're going to have to, like, they're probably going to do the Halo thing to some extent, where they do like the campaign, but then there's also the game as a service separate that's free to play. I just think that's the way first-person shooters are moving, and the new Overwatch will probably do that too.
I kind of like the idea of like doing a Borderlands type of 4-player co-op, and it's a giant world where you all play it together. It doesn't need to be like thousands or millions of people online playing it. It could just be like 4 people playing at a time.
Yeah.
But maybe that's not what they want. But I think that can be fun too.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's something that a lot of these groups have been trying to go for a long time, is that it's, you and your friends playing something consistently over time, because obviously that means that there's more consistent money coming in, right? It's basic business. But yeah, you have to find something that does that. However, I will say this, I do miss back in the day, especially when Halo came out, of just being able to purchase Halo and it would have the campaign and the multiplayer and everything was in it day one, and you didn't have to do the whole like kind of tiered opening thing like they've been doing. They're doing that with theme parks too now, by the way. It's just like I just miss it when it was all just day and date. Here it is, everything you got.
Yeah.
Like,
I think unfortunately COVID's really messed with that too.
Sure.
I think in the future they're like Phil's going to let them take as long as they need to do things.
Yeah.
But man, people will just like, come on, where's Halo? They wanted it so bad. It was a year late.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll happen again. I think they're going to take their time on everything else.
Yeah. And also with the whole like system cycle now, that might be shifting dramatically. And the fact they didn't launch Halo with, the Xbox Series X and S was very telling of how they wanted to protect Halo and make sure it was something that was worth people's time and money. But
yeah, I'm glad they did, but you know what? They probably could have waited. I remember when Halo finally came out and I got to play it, I was super excited. But if they would have waited for co-op, that would have been even better.
Yeah. Yeah, which I think they just recently, as at the time of this recording, they just said that was going to get delayed again too. And I was like, dang, there's so many people who I've talked to who are like, I like this, but I'd rather play like with you. And I was like,
right.
Like, I'm sorry. I would love to.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to get all the skulls next time when I play with somebody.
Right, yeah. There you go. I didn't find any. I feel bad. I'm bad.
I found one skull.
Nice. Yeah. Ugh, man. Halo. I wonder, I'm curious to see the future of that now, too. It's crazy because, like, a lot of these things, I feel like these intellectual properties are now safer, in a sense. Like, they're under... Like, and maybe I just don't understand this, and maybe that's what they want me to think, but I think of some of them like having a new home, or also not being, bought up by a different company that would have done something drastically strange with them.
I have to admit, I was waiting for Microsoft to acquire someone else ever since the Bethesda thing. You keep hearing people, who else are they going to get?
Yeah, right.
I did not in a million years think they were going to buy Activision Blizzard.
It sounds too big, right?
Yeah, it's insane. And when they announced it, I was a little underwhelmed at first because I was just thinking about the titles. Like, I don't play any of these games, But then I thought about the studios, and those studios and how many there are, and them all working on games that will then come to Xbox.
Yep.
Then I started getting excited.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. And the thing is, we're still seeing the fruits of these acquisitional labors pay off, from years ago when they started buying up a bunch and people were like, oh, what's Microsoft doing? And some of these things that they've been spurred on by, like God of War, and hearing Phil talk about wanting his own God of War. And not that Fable is going to be that, but we're still waiting to see that game, and a lot of this other stuff that I think some of these studios have been working on for a long time, and that can finally pop up and be like, hey, here's what we made. Like,
I think Hellblade 2 is going to be something amazing.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be my cup of tea, but I bet it's going to look pretty.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to be gorgeous. We're getting closer and closer to like the cinematics and the like in between the gameplay looking just exactly like the gameplay, which is nuts.
Right.
It's like, finally, thank you. I don't know. I'm optimistic. I think it's really cool. And the thing is too, there's so many people out there who kind of like pick a side, and this probably sounds like a super pro Xbox, podcast episode here. We're not sponsored. We would love to be. That'd be great. But I also have a Series X. It's what I got my hands on back in the day, and I'm a big Gears of War fan. I love Halo too. But I think this is great for everybody, because my hope is that it just continuously spurs like PlayStation to not acquire necessarily, but to consistently create games that are really good. And that's one of the reasons why they've talked about this new acquisition, even though it's not the same type, because it seems like Bungie is still retaining its autonomy almost completely, maybe, but maybe not. I don't know. But sounds like Sony wants to make like 10 new games as a service games by 2026.
Yeah.
And that is probably in direct response to a lot of the live service stuff that's been popping up, not only with Xbox, but everywhere. Like all these games are becoming, online all the time. And that's where a lot of money is.
I'm pretty sure a lot of these studios or these publishers are pretty jealous of Fortnite.
Yeah.
And how it just, they print money.
Yeah.
We need one of those.
Every crossover imaginable because they can afford it. Like they just buy everything. It's just every intellectual property. Yeah, no, totally. And I think that's why I think they look at that. And that's the reason they got Bungie's, because Bungie's had this like AAA games as a service game going on for a long time now that's been very successful. And they're like, how do you maintain that? We want to do that ourselves. We're going to learn from you. We're not doing it just necessarily to buy Destiny,
I think the reason they mentioned 10 is because most of those will be failures.
Oh,
they're going to hit gold with one of them.
Yeah, you only need like one or two of these games to do like really well, and you're like good to go.
Yeah, and you know what? Sony, they're good at that. It's probably going to be pretty cool. Whatever is the hit, it'll probably be pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because, like I said, I like to think that just the competition spurs everybody on to make bigger and better things, or not necessarily bigger, but just more fun, interesting things. And for me, too, as like a fan of a lot of some of these older Activision things, mostly the Blizzard stuff, I just think of all the potential, and not being necessarily bound to, you got to make, more updates for World of Warcraft, or you got to make another Call of Duty. Like, there's the potential now that that's not going to be the case because they have this super big parent company who's like, let's try to make something different. Like, because I feel like that is the way the ship has turned, and that's exciting because we don't know what's over that horizon, right? Like, that's
I'm just
so
like
cool.
2024, 2025, I just see like all of these games coming out and just being, oh my gosh, there's so many games, Oh yeah. That's exciting.
Oh, and the fact too that like a lot of this stuff, because the deal is so good, like a lot of these things are probably going to be day one Game Pass. Like that is just insane. Like to me, that like Halo already was that way, because they could have been prohibitive. They could have been like, actually Halo's kind of, you got to buy it, but it's like, nope, here it is, like for $10 a month. Like
yeah, that's what's funny. A lot of people debating, will Call of Duty still be on PlayStation? I always think yes, it will, because it already is, but they don't think about Game Pass Ultimate subscribers will get the cool maps, they'll get the cool weapons, they'll get things that you won't get on the PlayStation. You'll be rewarded for being in Game Pass, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, which it makes me a little sad, just because I know that's what, like when it flipped and Sony got all the exclusive stuff, it was a little frustrating for people because like there were the maps and things that people wouldn't get access to, and you hate to see that prohibitive content stuff, but it's different now. I don't know, it seems a little different, at least in my mind, like if you bought the thing versus you just paying another third-party company to get special stuff,
I remember when I played the first Destiny on Xbox, and I realized that Sony had some, what were they're not called raids, there were the other things that you would do every day.
Strikes?
Yeah, they had strikes that we didn't get to play, and I was like so mad.
Yeah, it's like, oh, come on, man, I'm just collecting my helium filaments, right?
Yeah, I mean, I need my helium filaments every day.
Yeah.
I have this loop that I need to do.
Gotta do it. Gotta go back to Saturn or wherever you would go.
That's why I stopped playing Destiny.
Yeah. Yeah, right? That's
when you realize, like, deja vu, I feel like I've done this all before.
You have many times. Yeah, I just
stuck in a loop.
I think there's so much potential, and I'm so curious to hear like what other people are excited about, because we actually had some people write in to the show with some ideas.
Oh, nice.
Would you like me to read them now?
Yes.
Okay. So I put it out on Twitter and also on our Discord, and here's the ones we've gotten so far. So this is via Twitter. This is from our buddy at Lodiaz90, or Lodiaz. Hey, buddy. He says, give me a proper StarCraft Ghost with RPG elements and like skills and gear upgrades, etc. Give me an awesome story, perhaps a little bit of horror with zergs and gadgets. there have to be gadgets. Dude, there has to be gadgets.
Gadgets are good.
Gadgets are great. Like, and I think a lot of us are thinking about Ghost right now. Like, it's like, they should probably make a Ghost. I think that'd be neat. Then we got some write-ins over via the Discord. And this one is from Mecha Rekka. Oh my gosh. We were talking about just acquisitions and like what could happen, if people, like what other things could be acquired right now. Mecha Rekka says, if Sony could acquire both Capcom and Platinum and force Hideki Kamiya to do another Okami game, that would be great.
That makes me think of, have you seen the news recently where he said, Phil, let's do it?
Oh, he did?
Well, did you hear what game that he was still interested in doing?
No, what game?
The dragon one.
Oh, is it Blue Dragon?
Scalebound.
Scalebound. Oh my god. Oh my lord. That would be crazy. That would be nuts. Did Phil say anything?
It was like some kind of interview, and he said he wasn't talking to Phil. He was talking to the interviewer or whatever.
Yeah, right.
And he said, we've got everything in place. Let's just do it. And he goes, Phil, call me.
Oh my god.
And then it was all over Twitter. Like, I don't know,
funny.
It was yesterday or the day before.
Yeah. I could see that happening, and I understand, like, people were really frustrated with that being canceled. And I remember seeing the gameplay, and I was like, we'll see. But
it's like a lot of, you got to think of the frame rate would have been when.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, all right, so we have 4 dragons and 4 people, actual humans in there who are controlling third-person action characters who aren't the dragons, and they are people, and like you're fighting the super boss thing together. It's like,
yeah, 15 frames per second.
Dude, is Scalebound the Star Fox 2 or whatever of Microsoft, where they're like,
yeah,
it exists,
I think the last we saw of it, there's like a demo at E3 where we got to see gameplay, and I thought it was pretty underwhelming.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I know I was excited when I saw the first cinematic trailer, but then I don't like it when you mix things, so I didn't enjoy the whole, like, the guy, it's like a fantasy world, but he also has like headphones. I was like,
yeah, he had headphones on.
Hey, grab that and Fable Legends and throw them up on Game Pass. People will love you. Like, you just throw it on there and be like, yeah, we got it. Yeah, that's an interesting prospect. Mecha Rekka, by the way, continues. He says, or perhaps Sony could acquire FromSoft and guarantee us a Bloodborne 2. I'd be okay with that one, too.
Wow.
I don't know. Do you think I'm not saying that this wouldn't happen.
I think does somebody else own them?
Good question. I don't know.
Maybe I read that. Some other conglomerate owns them, I think. I don't know.
Because I would feel like after the first Bloodborne came out, that Sony would have made a play and been like, hey, do you want to come be like a Sony thing? Like, you want to come work for us forever?
I think as long as one of these companies aren't in danger of being bought up by somebody else, like Tencent or an Amazon, then they're not going to buy them.
Yeah, and hopefully it sounds like with Elden Ring coming up here that they're not like in a desperate spot. I think they're going to do super duper well across the board, critically and commercially. So yeah, I don't want to consolidate everything. I don't want people to think that too, because I know there's a fear of that where it's like everybody's owned by somebody bigger. But with I hope a lot of these guys, it's like Ubisoft. I don't want necessarily Ubisoft to be Xbox exclusive. Like, I don't want to deny other people Assassin's Creed. Like,
Assassin's Creed should be available everywhere for everyone.
Yeah. Zora Caviar over on Discord says, to be honest, I don't play literally any game made by Activision Blizzard or Bungie, so I couldn't care less. I am, however, in the quote-unquote consolidation is bad camp and hope other publishers / devs I love like Capcom and From Software can remain as independent as possible for as long as possible. Except Konami. Yeah. Please, someone buy Konami. He goes on to say some other things there, but I won't say them.
Yeah. Like, hey, guys, we don't want your pachinko machines. We just want your IP.
Yeah, totally.
We want Metal Gear, we want Castlevania, and we want Silent Hill.
Yep. I could see something like that eventually, but also Konami, I think, is big enough, and they're making a lot of money, weirdly, through all that stuff, so they don't have to sell those things off, even though, like, if Phil or if Sony, I should say, or Xbox could actually pick up like Metal Gear just by itself, they would be like, yes, we got Metal Gear. All right, we're going to start making Metal Gear games.
Yeah.
Ugh,
I wonder if Kojima, like if some publisher was like, "Hey, we got Metal Gear for you. What do you think?" He's like, "I've moved on."
Yeah, he's probably like, I'm done. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
He's like, "You
But I
can
don't know.
remaster them. I'm not making another one."
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I'm too busy making this game where you're delivering stuff. Like,
Yeah, you poop in a jar and throw it as a grenade.
yeah, exactly. People love it. People love it. It's so funny too. Like, I was thinking about what they were talking about over here, and Zora kind of hits it home with it. I'm like, I love what Capcom's been doing lately. I think they've been crushing it. I don't want Capcom to be eaten up because I want Monster Hunter to be for everybody all the time. Like, I want everyone to be playing Monster Hunter.
Yeah, like how about instead of just on the Switch or PC, like on an Xbox? Or
Yeah.
the PlayStation didn't even get the new Monster Hunter, did it?
No, Monster Hunter Rise was Switch and then went to PC eventually. I think we're going to keep seeing that where it's like, we'll release a game as a third party. They'll release it to both PlayStation and Xbox, and then it'll go to PC, or they'll release it specifically to the Switch, and then it'll go to PC. That kind of thing.
Yeah. I wonder, did Nintendo pay for that? Like, we don't want it on the other systems.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think there's multiple teams working on that too, and they're probably working on a Switch exclusive one because they're like, well, we're not putting World on that thing. It's gonna the hardware will blow up. Like we.
do you think? I mean, Monster Hunter is huge. They have to be working on them for next gen systems, don't you think?
Oh yeah, I have no doubt. They've kind of even was coyly talked about it. They're like, yeah, we're working on a really big next gen game, or the next something big. We can't say exactly what it's going to be, but seeing that Monster Hunter World is like Capcom's one of their greatest selling games of all time, they're definitely making it. Like, yeah, they have to be making it. So
they had that huge movie come out.
Yes, they did. I watched it on a plane, but I didn't have headphones, so I can't tell you about it because I don't know what happened. It seemed way scarier than I thought it was going to be. I think
they want us to forget about that movie.
Probably. But if I could be in a Monster Hunter movie, I'd love it. Could be eaten up by an Anjanath. It'd be great. I'd definitely be in that. But anyway, what I was going to say is that Capcom, he makes a great point. Capcom, From Software, Ubisoft, some of these other ones, I hope they're not in danger of being bought up. But some of these ones, like Activision Blizzard, I think one way or another, someone is going to buy it. And I'm just kind of happy that at least it was a company like Microsoft or something versus
a lot of people were saying, Sony, buy Square. You got to buy Square. Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
I think that would suck as an Xbox player. Like, we never get another Square game,
Sure.
But not that I play any. I don't play any Final Fantasy games, but I think when you get cut off from another system, it kind of stinks. I can understand why it happens. It's business or whatever. But like I said, unless Tencent is trying to acquire Square or Amazon is trying to get their hands on them, I think just leave them alone kind of a thing.
I wonder if
they've got Final Fantasy 14. They're raking in the bucks. I don't think they need to be bought by anybody.
Yeah. I'm sure PlayStation or Sony fans felt that way when ZeniMax was purchased, and they're like, "Oh, do I never get another Fallout or Doom again?" Like, yeah. And I
understand
feel bad about
how it feels. It feels bad.
Yeah, it is too bad, but I get it. And I think, like I said before, Activision Blizzard, I think, was prime, to be bought by someone. And I'm just glad it was one of the gaming companies that we know and we actually like versus it going somewhere where they're like, well, great, all those things you loved are not going to be made ever again.
If we would have heard something like, Jeff Bezos has acquired Activision Blizzard, it would have been like, oh, gross, ew.
And it would have been interesting. I heard
Amazon Prime subscribers, you get a discount on World of Warcraft.
Sure, right? Well, didn't they just release, is it New World? Is that their game? I've heard that's been pretty good.
No, that they've got a new one.
Okay.
A brand new game. If I click on Twitch, I'll see somebody playing it right now. What is it called? It is Lost Ark.
Lost Ark, not New World. New World's the MMO. Lost Ark is something different.
Yeah, New World is older now. Lost Ark is the new one. And the reason you see everyone playing it is because I'm pretty sure they're being paid by Amazon to play it.
Right.
Yeah. All the big streamers on Twitch are playing it right now.
Yeah, Lost Ark's more Diablo-esque, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's so interesting. I don't know where this acquisition thing will end, if we'll ever get down to like just 2 or 3 big groups, and that's
Yeah.
all it's going to be, which would be kind of like, that'd be kind of frustrating and scary. I totally understand that. But
well, when I hear some of the, like, you look at all the studios that Microsoft has now, once this goes through, and if it's like they're not done yet, I'm like, why? How many friggin' studios do you need?
Yeah. Well, my hope too is that, like we said before, that it's giving a lot of the developers more money, time, and creative freedom. That's the hope.
Yes.
I don't know if that's true or not yet. We will see. Hopefully it'll be better than what it was at Activision Blizzard for a lot of those people, which is really sad and frustrating. But I'm optimistic about this one. But yeah, it does seem kind of strange that, we're getting these big acquisitions kind of one after another, even though they do take months to kind of iron out. So, these things have been in the works for a long time. But I'm just curious, and I'm excited, like you said, Jason, in like 2024 through 2026, like we might start seeing these things, like, a separate StarCraft thing or Warcraft thing or
Like,
whatever.
Is there going to be a Microsoft, Bethesda, Activision, Blizzard type of show where they just show off like a reels of games coming out?
Yeah, it'll just be like, it's like an hour long, but it shows off like 75 games. It's just like, we just keep showing.
Phil walks out and he goes, today we're going to show you 275 games you've never heard of. And we're like, what?
And then he looks like directly into the camera and he just says, and they're not like small indie titles, they're all AAA. And you'd be like, oh my god, what do you mean, Phil? That's not possible. And he's like, it is now. Like,
we've spent $500 billion on these games because we have that.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
We're not doing anything with that money. Might as well spend it.
Yeah, it's just amazing to me. It's amazing. But like I said, I'm hopeful, and I'm hopeful the same with the whole Bungie thing. Maybe I hope that makes some Sony games better in the future. I hope it all just goes that way. I'm just waiting for Nintendo to come out of nowhere and say something. Like, I would be really scared and sad because, like, Nintendo, they're more about innovating with their hardware, I think.
Yeah.
And
I think they have said something. Somebody said something. Maybe the president basically said, we're not interested in that.
Okay. Yeah, I just would be.
They have no need to acquire anybody.
Yeah, and that's great because you're right, they totally don't. But I would be like, with the limiting kind of hardware that they have, it would be sad to be like, all right, Monster Hunter and Devil May Cry, if they bought Capcom, they're like, it's only on Nintendo from now on, and you'd be like, like.
It's so funny because it's always been that way. Like when they had the little discs with the GameCube, or
yep,
or even like the Wii. The Wii U, people are just like, what? When are they going to upgrade this to something like HD, like something? And then the Switch comes out, and it's definitely underpowered compared to the other systems, but it's just like, they're like, we don't need to. Remember, everyone thought the Switch Pro was going to be a thing, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
They don't need to.
You're right, they don't need to. And Nintendo is just so beloved, and they make such great stuff. And their first-party stuff, by the way, like all the stuff that comes out with those guys, first-party specifically, is all like buttoned up, polished, like the nicest playing and looking games you're going to get.
Yeah, you never see a Mario game come out and they go, unfortunately, this isn't finished.
No, exactly. We're going to patch Metroid Dread. And you'd be like, no, it's fine.
That just doesn't happen.
No,
like, unfortunately, Kirby, it's going to have a first-day patch. Hopefully, we'll fix some things.
Yeah. Was N64...
One thing Nintendo doesn't have is a decent online service.
Yeah, they're still... I think that it's not as much a focus for them, right? As making these other first-party games really good and making these kind of innovative hardware pieces. But I feel like N64 was the last time they were like on the cutting edge of like a tech thing that was like a console in your home. Right? Like that was the last time that they were like kind of like, wow, like we're being the tech. And now it's just kind of like, look at this crazy cool thing we made that you can take anywhere with you and you can play it anytime. It's like, oh, that's cool. I don't know. All I'm saying is I'm hopeful, Jason. I'm hopeful for all this stuff. I'm optimistic.
Yes, I am too.
Yeah, and not just because I like Xbox, because I do, but I also like PlayStation, and I like Nintendo. I like
the thing
them all.
is, I'm rooting for Xbox in this because they even though they have the most money, being Microsoft,
Yeah.
uh, we lived through the Xbox One era where they majorly screwed up. And I like the idea of them, especially Phil Spencer wanting to rise out of the ashes like a phoenix. you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
the new just kind of right the ship of Xbox and put out some great first party games and stuff like that. I mean, when I first heard about Game Pass, I wasn't sure. Like, I don't know, really, like
Yeah.
PC at the same time. I don't know about this. I didn't understand what was happening,
Yeah.
but I think I understand much better now.
Yeah, I do too. I totally get you, and I agree with you. I echo your sentiments. I respect the fact that Phil stuck with this and was like, no, we're making Xbox a gaming thing, and we're really going to push forward on this, and hopefully it's presenting people with better jobs and better opportunities, and hopefully for us as the game loving individuals we are, you'll give us more things to play that are fun, and then it also forces other companies to make things that are really fun and just keep going and going.
Yeah,
So,
competition's good.
yeah, it's good. It's good, especially for us as consumers. But yeah, there's kind of our discussion, our chat about all the acquisition stuff, kind of the dream situations as far as the games go. Because, like I said, I like to be optimistic on this channel. And I would honestly, truly love to hear what people think. So if you're listening to this, especially on YouTube, please leave a comment of your idea of like a crazy cool game, because there's a lot of potential, or something that's completely out of left field. If you just be like, I would really like, the people over at Raven to make this type of game, or whatever it might be, right?
I actually did have a left field kind of idea.
Oh, let's hear it.
Okay, this would be a licensed game from a Disney property.
Okay.
Okay, don't get too excited because
Okay.
it's a Pixar property.
Okay.
I watched the trailer to the new Lightyear movie, Buzz Lightyear movie.
Yeah.
There's an even newer trailer that came out the other day.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want a first-person shooter, Halo-ish game based on Buzz Lightyear. It's a shooter, you're shooting aliens and stuff like that, but it's for kids, and it's got the Disney kind of flair, but it's got gorgeous graphics, and it's got the voices, and it's got the comedy, but it's also a cool first-person shooter.
Yeah.
That was just an idea I had in my head.
Oh, that's a cool idea, man. I thought at first I was going to say, before you said for kids, I was going to say, so Starfield is what you're talking about. No.
Starfield's for us. It's for grown-ups.
It's for grown-ups only, dude.
This is serious sci-fi.
Get your kids out of here. Send them back to preschool or wherever they come from. I don't know. Yeah, no, that's a fun idea, man. I would love to see that, especially as someone who loves Disney stuff, and the last really big Disney thing was Disney Infinity, which I totally bought into. But I would love to see the return of some of that licensed stuff in a big way. But it seems like we've moved away from licensed things a lot.
I could see them being like, we've got all these properties. Why are we licensing stuff from Disney?
Yeah, we have to pay somebody else.
They don't need any more money.
Yes. Yeah, okay.
Well, how much into Disney Infinity were you? Did you have all the figures and stuff?
I didn't have all the figures, but I did buy, it was coming out yearly, and they did it for 3 years, but it came out with, different stuff every time. So I had the 3 versions of it. But yeah, I actually really liked the figures, and the game was really, really fun, I thought. It was still enjoyable.
Yeah.
I was 25, I think, even at the time when it came out, and I was like, this is really
cool. The figures are pretty cool. Ollie has a few of them.
Yeah, one thing that was really impressive, and I know they talked about working on this for a long time, but that was trying to make it so that any of the figures looked like they would belong in the same kind of game, even though they all come from different things, where it's you've got a Captain Jack Sparrow versus a Sully from Monsters Inc. It's how do you make those two look kind of similar aesthetically with retaining what makes them iconic? I was wow, that must have been really, how many iterations did they go through, to make
you know what? Did you see that Disney Racer at the Nintendo?
Oh, thing? I heard about this. Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Some people thought they looked kind of like Disney Infinity, Recycling
assets. Disney Infinity. That'd be great. They're it's Disney Infinity 4.0. We won't tell anyone until they purchased it.
That's a shame that didn't work out, and Skylanders and all that, because it was a really cool idea.
Yeah, Skylanders is huge.
The only thing that's still around are the Nintendo ones.
The Amiibo.
The Amiibos, yeah.
Yeah, I think that type of stuff is really cool for like the collectors and stuff, but it's so hard to maintain it because it's just it's an extra cost on top of everything. And then it starts getting harder and harder if you have to keep buying like new bases and all this stuff. Yeah, I still have my Disney Infinity characters, but they're back home in Minnesota. I don't have them with me here.
Oh, one other thing is I'm not sure if Microsoft owns Tenchu, but I know that they published 3 Tenchu games. Activision did. If they do, I'd love for them to either do remasters or just like a new Tenchu game.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And how cool would it be if somebody like Tango Gameworks, Ghostwire Tokyo, that game looks freaky, but they did a freaky ninja game? That would be really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, more ninja and samurai games. I feel like the biggest ones we've had recently were like Origami kind of for ninja, but then obviously Ghost of Tsushima for ninja / samurai.
It's hard to top Ghost of Tsushima now after you see that, isn't it?
But I want someone to try, or I want someone to do something and make it different. Like,
Tenchu is different than that. Stealthy, sneaking around and stuff like that. But that would be so cool. People love those type of games.
Yeah, totally. I'd be there for sure. I'm still waiting for Assassin's Creed to formally do a ninja game. To just be like, yep, we're doing feudal Japan, but you're not a samurai. You're just a ninja.
What about this? Tenchu, it's a stealth game, but it's also a Souls-like.
Oh my gosh, no.
Souls-like bosses.
Yeah. Do I get to stealth them to death?
Well, the bosses are the ones who spot you.
Oh, gotcha. Good. Great. Sounds like so much fun.
You've killed like 30 guys in a place, and as you're leaving, then you run into the boss.
Sounds like Sekiro, which Activision also published.
What have we here?
Yeah. Oh, no thanks. But yeah, like I said before, I'd love to hear people's thoughts or ideas about all this down in the comments, or just tweet them at us as well. But yeah, Jason, is there anything else you wanted to mention about all this stuff? I wanted to give you a place and a platform to do so.
I wanted to say this. When everyone plays, we all win.
Bravo. Well done. You just came up with that on the spot, didn't you?
Isn't that what Phil always says?
I think so, yeah. I think that's what he says after he signs on the dotted line for the acquisitions, and then he just drops the pen. He's just like,
When my mother-in-law is playing Candy Crush and I see her on her phone, I'm like, we all win.
Exactly, yeah. Yep. I was thinking about that. My mom loves Candy Crush, too, and I was thinking, she doesn't know, and she'll never know about this stuff unless they just take it, and they're like, you can only play Candy Crush on, like, Xbox, PC, Game Pass or something. You'd be like, what? Like,
It's like, Mom, if you had Game Pass Ultimate, you would get 5 extra turns a day.
Yeah. No, please no. I don't want it to be that.
I just use my credit card to buy more turns. No, microtransactions.
No, please. No.
Mom, no.
It's too late, dearie. No, I don't know whose mom this is.
I've been doing this for years.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Jason, this was so much fun, man. I appreciate you being on the show and just chatting about all this stuff. It's so cool to talk about this with someone who, is in the know, such as yourself.
It's been great. Thanks for having me. I've been wanting to talk video games with people.
Dude, anytime. Maybe that just means I'll have to bring you back on because I've been really bad about making this show consistent, and I'm sorry to everybody out there who listens, but I was like, oh man, I've just been doing a bunch of different stuff, so it's been hard to like sit down and like be like, just do like an hour every other week. You can do that, right? So I'm trying to be better about that. And that's what I'm doing here today. So again, Jason, thank you for being on the show. If you guys want to hear Jason's lovely dulcet tones a little bit more, he does run a podcast from time to time called Entertainment Landfill. If you look that up on YouTube, or mostly you're on YouTube and also on Google, you'll find him.
Yeah, it's etlandfill.com. I haven't done a show in a while, but maybe I will again.
Yeah, well, and also you were on my show here a while ago. I can't remember what we talked about.
We talked about the Chris Pratt movie, the The
yes, the
why can't I
Tomorrow
remember the name?
War.
Tomorrow
That's
War.
what it
Yeah,
was. Okay,
that was
cool.
fun.
Yeah, that was great. So if you guys want to hear more Jason, you can go listen to the Tomorrow War.
That was July of 2021.
Yes, and it's one of my best thumbnail jobs I've ever done because I like put my face on Chris Pratt's face, and it actually looks kind of okay with the shading, and I'm like, I can see myself as an action hero. How about you, Jason? Would you watch me in an action movie?
Sure.
Thank you. He's
would
like,
you be
paid me for it?
Be eaten by a monster from Monster Hunter? Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, Edgedath, please stop. I'm telling you, that Monster Hunter movie looked way scarier and like horror focused than I thought it was going to be. I was genuinely surprised.
Oh, and can I just say, Jimmy, I've been playing Death's Door and loving it.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, please give us a little bit of something here at the end. What you enjoying Death's Door?
Death's Door is a Zelda Souls-like. There's times where I want to throw my controller, but I eventually do beat that boss, and I'm like, yes!
Well done.
And that just happened today where I beat a boss, and at first I was like, oh, come on, this is ridiculous. He's got 5 fireballs circling around him, and I'm supposed to get close to him and hit him? Mm-hmm. How is this even possible? And then eventually you're like, I did it. I killed him. How did I do that?
Well done. Well done, man. I've heard this love-hate relationship on Discord a little bit. You're like, this game, I hate it, but I also really enjoy it.
I've now unlocked all but one weapon. I can't wait till I unlock that one, because you do feel that dopamine hit when you unlock a new weapon.
Yep, dopamine rush, baby. Wait. Yeah. It's like, I can't wait to get back to it. Yes.
Yes, that dopamine.
He needs it. He needs that rush. That's what Game Pass is, just the dopamine. We need it. We need it so badly. Well, dude, yeah, Death's Door, man. I will probably check it out as per your recommendation at some point here.
I think you should. It's really good, and it's fun, and the combat's fun.
Cool. Yeah, we also have to get back to Alien Fireteam at some point.
Yes, we need to kill more Xenos.
Kill more Xenos.
What about
androids?
Extraction? Are we going to do that again, or?
Yeah, I don't remember that.
You uninstalled it, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I did uninstall it. No. Oh, sorry. Oh, Rainbow Six Siege Extraction. I thought you said Extraction was a game mode in Aliens. I was like, yeah. I don't think I uninstalled it.
Yeah, Rainbow Six Extraction. There's a new game that just hit Game Pass, Crossfire X.
Dude,
I've heard nothing but bad things about it.
That game is huge in the multiplayer world, like over in Asia. I've heard like it's like bigger than Call of Duty or something.
Yes,
which is crazy.
And apparently, it just hit Game Pass yesterday, and I've seen people say like this game is trash.
Interesting. So, yeah, I was kind of tempted to look in on it just to see what all the fuss was about, but I think the campaign is different than the multiplayer. I don't know.
Yes. Apparently Remedy did the campaign for it, and I am interested in that.
Okay. What have they done in the past?
They did Control, Quantum Break, all those games.
Cool. Well, if they had a co-op campaign, I would say let's jump in together, but
yeah.
I don't know if that's happened.
I don't know if it's co-op, but
yeah. I don't.
Also, I don't know if you know, but the Jurassic World Dominion trailer hit, so
I'm not watching it. I'm blackout.
Oh,
I'm already there, man. I don't need to be sold. I'm already there. You know what I mean? If it's got Jurassic in the title, I honestly think I would see almost anything. Like if I knew it was part of the franchise, I'd be like, I just want to see it. Like, I'd just be there.
Yeah.
Be like, yep, I have to.
Okay.
My hands are tied.
I will say nothing, sir.
Good. Don't you ruining it for me when Blue sits down for a cup of tea with Chris Pratt and looks in his eyes and says, "It's nice to see you again, father." And then it just cuts to black.
Oh, God. Is it the raptor who's saying that?
Yeah, it's the raptor saying that. Yeah, Blue's learned to speak.
Hello, father.
Hello, father. I've met Blue a few times in person. She's much bigger than I think she would be, but she's great. She's great. I've had a few run-ins at Universal with her. She's very sweet. I'm trying to see her enough where she remembers me, and then we'll have like a little rapport, and maybe she'll give me a little nuzzle. You know.
I have a recommendation for you on Game Pass.
Oh, what's the recommendation?
It's a JRPG that's not actually Japanese. It's made by a French company.
So it's an FRPG.
But they even have Japanese voice acting.
Okay.
It's also in English too, but it's called Edge of Eternity. I think it's been out on PC, but now it's on consoles and it's on Game Pass.
Okay. Edge of Eternity. Not Pillars of Eternity.
Edge of Eternity.
Edge of Eternity. Okay. Well, I'll look into that too. Jeez, you're getting homework over here, man.
You ride on a cat.
And I'm out. Appreciate you playing. The only game that's ever made me like cats even a little bit was Monster Hunter World, because those were palicos, bipedal, lovable little creatures who would help you fight and sometimes not save you.
It's a cat-like creature with two tails.
Still not selling me. Like, you're making it worse. But I appreciate you trying. Thanks for playing.
It's a dog.
Oh, I'm in. Okay, cool.
It's a dog that meows.
Not possible. Okay. Not a dog. Not a dog anymore. That's very funny. Okay.
I tried.
I appreciate it. Thank you for trying, though. Thank you. Well, I'm going to say goodbye to Jason off air here, but again, thank you, Jason, for being on today. If you want to follow either of us on Twitter, I am at JimmyGood013. However, if you want to tweet something over at Jason, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter as the Jstrom.
Ooh, I like how you put that little bit of silk in there. Yeah, but please
tweet
us. No space. Yeah, please tweet us anytime. I just love like chatting with people on there. I need to be better about it. There's Twitter and there's Instagram, there's TikTok and there's Discord and there's YouTube and there's just so much. I'm like, so I
mostly just post screenshots from a game I'm playing.
There you go. Hey, nothing wrong with that. Sometimes I'm in that picture. I'm like, yay, my character, I should say. I'm like, yeah, I popped up. But yeah, I would love to hear from you guys, and we also have a bunch of other places for which you can communicate with us. Like I said, not only on YouTube, but Twitter, Discord, all those types of things. So if you want to reach out, or if you have an idea for a future show, please let us know. Or another guest, but if you just want Jason back on, what should the keyword be if they made it this far into the show and they want you back on the show, Jason? What's your favorite word in video games?
My favorite word in video games?
Yeah, is it flamethrowers? Grapple hook with
shotgun.
a hyphen? Shotgun, dude. Yeah, that's the keyword. Shotgun. If you made it that far, you want to hear Jason back on the show. Shotgun. So good, man. I appreciate it. Jason, again, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate you and your friendship.
I as well, sir. Thank you for having me. I had a great time.
All right. Well, Jason, you hang out here with me for a minute. But everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. Love and hugs. And until next time, just remember to adapt and overcome. Bye-bye.